I got home early from a client site visit that ended in disaster. A chemical spill shut it all down. I walked through the back door around 2:30 on a Tuesday. Should have been gone until Friday. The house was quiet at first, but I could hear Jenna's voice coming from the kitchen. She was on speakerphone, talking to her mom, Charlene. It wasn't unusual for her to have these calls, but this one felt off. I froze when I heard her say, "He'll never find out I took care of it. I'm not blowing my career over a kid he wants." It was like someone punched me in the stomach. She wasn't talking about me. She was talking about us. Her tone was so casual, so cold. She was telling her mom that she'd had an abortion last week during a conference I'd believed was real. A conference she hadn't gone to. A lie. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. I just turned around, walked back out the door, got in my car, and drove straight to Craig's office. He's a divorce lawyer, but I wasn't looking for advice. I was looking for a way out. I sat in Craig's office for 3 hours, laying everything out. The whole time, he didn't even flinch. No surprise, no shock. He just listened and nodded, like this was business as usual. Maybe for him it was. When I was done, I leaned back in the chair, eyes burning from the lack of sleep, but I couldn't bring myself to care. I told Craig, straight up, "I don't care about the money. I just want out. I'm done." He didn't try to talk me out of it. He didn't ask any of those dumb questions people ask when they want to help you work through it. He knew better. Instead, he picked up the phone, dialed a number, and spoke quietly to Marcus, the retired sheriff who handled the paper-serving stuff. Craig had it all planned out already. Jenna? She was in the middle of her big promotion celebration, had just been made regional VP at her firm. She had her eyes on the prize, just like she'd always wanted. And that was fine. But now it wasn't just her career I was walking away from. It was everything. The life we built. The life she'd been lying about for who knows how long. By the time I left Craig's office, the divorce petition was filed. That night, no waiting, no dragging it out. No second guessing. I checked into a hotel, couldn't face going back home. My stomach was a mess, but it was better than sitting there, pretending I didn't know what I knew. I left my wedding band on the coffee table with a note. Short, simple, "Heard your call. We're done." The next morning, I got the text from Marcus. She turned ghost white. I could picture it. Her face draining of color when she saw the papers, trying to act like she hadn't been caught in the act, trying to keep the mask in place, but it was already too late. I didn't have to be there to see it. I didn't want to be there. What was the point? After everything, her reaction didn't matter. What mattered was that I was free of the lies, of the bullshit. We weren't just done with each other, we were done with pretending. Jenna blew up my phone all night. 40 missed calls, texts, voicemails. Every single one of them begging, pleading, asking me to talk. I didn't even listen to them. I blocked her number. Blocked her mom, Charlene, and her sister, Erica. I didn't need any more of their drama, their manipulation. They didn't deserve my attention. Her mom, though, wasn't done. A few hours later, I got an email from her. "This is childish. Talk to my daughter like an adult." I stared at the screen for a second, fighting the urge to respond. But I didn't. I deleted it and moved on. Craig called the next morning, said she'd hired a lawyer named Martin. The guy mostly handled corporate law but had a reputation for being aggressive. It wasn't a surprise. I expected that kind of play from Jenna. She always liked to fight dirty when things didn't go her way. I told Craig flat out, "I'm not sitting across from her. All negotiations go through you. Period." I wasn't interested in any emotional games or last-minute apologies. I wasn't going to let her twist everything back around to make me the bad guy, like she always did. Craig said he'd handle it. The next step was the house. I couldn't stay there, not with her coming around to try and manipulate me or make some emotional plea. I had my cousin install new locks and set up cameras around the place. I didn't trust any of them, and honestly, I didn't care. I kept an eye on the house from my office the next day. Jenna showed up with her mom and Erica, all three of them trying to get in. They had no right, but that didn't stop them. They pounded on the door, yelled through the windows. I watched it all, numb. The cops eventually showed up, explaining to them that they weren't allowed on the property. I couldn't hear the whole conversation, but I saw enough. They were pissed. Jenna was crying, trying to make it seem like she was the victim. The cops ended up escorting them off the property. They were furious, but they couldn't do a damn thing about it. They left, empty-handed, still believing they could get under my skin. But it didn't work. I just kept watching them drive away. The peace I felt in that moment, watching them go, finally done with me, was more satisfying than I'd ever expected. Craig set up the supervised pickup for her things. To our window. She could bring one person and that was it. I wasn't giving her any room to play her usual games. No apologies. No explanations. Just her stuff and then she was out of my life for good. Jenna showed up with Erica, of course. Erica, always the enabler, the one who'd back Jenna no matter what. They both stood there in the doorway, staring at me like they expected a hug or something, like I wasn't about to rip their whole world apart. Jenna started with the tears. It was like flipping a switch. 1 minute, she's standing there, looking all calm and collected, and the next, she's crying. She tried to act pitiful, her voice cracking as she begged, "Please, can we just talk? Just for a minute." I didn't even hesitate. I shook my head, flat out refusing. "No, we're done talking." I handed her the list of things she could take, no more, no less. I wasn't going to let her twist this into something it wasn't. Take it or leave it. She tried to say something else, but I wasn't interested in hearing it. My whole body was tight, the anger just simmering below the surface. I couldn't be around her anymore. Not like this. So, I turned my back, walked to the kitchen, and let her and Erica sort through whatever they needed. Halfway through the 2-hour window, Charlene showed up unannounced. Just walked right in without knocking. I'm sure she thought she could just waltz in and have a talk, like she was the one in charge. I looked up, saw her standing there like she owned the place, and felt my blood pressure spike. "What the hell are you doing here?" I asked, my voice low but sharp. She tried to make it sound casual, like she was just a concerned mom or something. "I just want to talk to my daughter, figure out what's going on." I didn't waste a second. I turned to Craig, who'd been quiet until now, and said, "Kick her out. Now." Craig didn't hesitate either. He told Charlene it was a supervised pickup, that she wasn't allowed to be there. She didn't like it. She fought back, but Craig wasn't backing down. In the end, he ushered her out. That didn't sit well with her. I could hear her yelling as she left. Something about how family paid for your honeymoon. She was still trying to pull strings, manipulate me into feeling guilty. But it didn't work. Jenna, hearing her mom's meltdown, tried again. She came up to me, tears streaming down her face now, her voice shaking as she said, "We can fix this. Please, I'm sorry. Let's just talk about it." I didn't feel sorry for her. Not one bit. I folded my arms and gave her a look. "You had 8 months to be honest with me. You chose lies." Her face dropped. She didn't say anything else. I watched her stand there, still trying to make it sound like it was all fixable, like she could just erase the past. But it wasn't. Not anymore. She finished packing up. Not a word between us after that. I could feel the weight lifting as she walked out the door, leaving everything behind, including her pathetic attempts to manipulate me. When she was gone, I stood there in the silence of the house, feeling the finality of it. It was over. It didn't take long for Jenna to start fighting dirty. The first shot came a few days after she moved out, an HR complaint at my job. She claimed I'd had emotional outbursts at work, that I'd been harassing her, and it had affected my job performance. Couldn't believe it. This was the same woman who'd lied to me for months, and now she was trying to turn the tables, make me the villain in front of my coworkers. My boss didn't buy it, thankfully. He didn't even give me the chance to explain before he told me, "It's a non-issue. We'll log it, but it's not going anywhere." He said it with that look. The "I know bullshit when I see it" look. Still, the damage was done. That kind of accusation sticks, even if it's total crap. I kept my head down at work, but I could feel the eyes on me for a while, wondering if there was some truth to it. There wasn't, but it didn't matter. Then, A few days later, I found deep gouges in my car. Someone had keyed it all the way down the side. It wasn't a random act, it was personal. And to top it off, the building cameras were offline. The timing was too perfect. I filed a report, but honestly, I knew nothing would come of it. No footage, no leads. I was just another guy getting messed with, and it pissed me off more than I'd like to admit. But the punches didn't stop coming. Craig called me one afternoon, his voice tight with annoyance. She hit me with a spousal support motion. I almost laughed. "What now?" I asked. He told me Jenna was claiming I'd abandoned her, that I'd left her homeless. The audacity of it. He knew what to do, though. Craig pulled up timestamps from the day I left, footage from the cameras that showed I had not kicked her out, that she'd packed her things with plenty of time to spare. He also got her salary records, showing she wasn't struggling financially at all. The judge wasn't impressed. The motion got denied. But still, it was a headache I didn't need. Then came Monica, Jenna's best friend. She called me, all concerned, talking like she had a right to ask about my side of things. She told me how wrecked Jenna was, how humiliated she felt. She tried guilt-tripping me into feeling bad, like I just destroyed her. I didn't hesitate. "Good," I said, the word coming out before I could even think about it. She should be humiliated. She's the one who lied to me for months. Monica didn't know what to say after that. She started talking about how I could have been more patient or tried harder. But I was done with the guilt. Jenna made her choices, and now she was reaping the consequences. The emotional games, the manipulation, it all finally caught up to her. As much as she tried to drag me back into the mess, I wasn't having it. Every attack felt like she was just digging herself into a deeper hole, and I wasn't going to be the one to pull her out. The smear campaign started fast. People I'd known for years, mutual friends, began taking sides. It was the usual drama. Some of them said I'd pressured Jenna into getting pregnant, that I'd flipped out when she wasn't ready. Like it was all my fault for wanting a family, for wanting to have kids, like I was the one who lied to her. I didn't let it slide. I told them the truth. I told them exactly what had happened, how she'd known she wasn't ready and had kept lying to me about it, how she didn't care enough to be honest, how she'd decided to make that choice for herself and then tried to drag me down with it. Some of them didn't believe me. They didn't want to. They thought I was just some guy trying to cover his tracks. And honestly, I didn't care. I lost a few friends in the process. Fine by me. If they couldn't see through her act, if they were still going to play the poor Jenna card, then they weren't worth having around. Then came Charlene. Of course, she wasn't done either. She showed up at my office one afternoon. The security called me, told me she was on her way up. I didn't even think about it. "Don't let her up," I told them, my voice flat. Charlene, the woman who'd enabled her daughter for years, wasn't just going to let this go. She wasn't going to accept that her precious daughter might actually be in the wrong. So, she did what she always did. She tried to make me the villain. Later that day, I got a 5-page email from her. I couldn't believe the audacity. She called me cruel, said I owed Jenna emotional damages for what I'd done, like I was the one who had lied for months, like I was the one who had made the decision to end a pregnancy behind my back. I forwarded the email to Craig. He read it over, said we could use it to build a harassment case if needed. But that wasn't the route I was going to take. The last thing I wanted was to keep dealing with this crap. That night, more voicemails, more emails. All of them from Charlene, from Jenna's sister, from her friends. Trying to guilt me into responding, trying to manipulate me into some emotional confession. I didn't even listen to them. I deleted everything. I was done explaining myself. I didn't owe anyone an explanation anymore. I wasn't going to keep justifying my decision to people who didn't have the guts to see the truth for what it was. I wasn't interested in fighting some endless battle with a group of people who couldn't be honest about their own role in all of it. At that point, I had nothing left to say. I wasn't going to get sucked back into their drama. 2 months after the filing, the settlement conference happened. I walked into that conference room and took one look at Jenna. She looked rough, tired, thinner, stressed. The weight of everything was written all over her face. It should have made me feel something, but it didn't. I was done. I didn't have the energy to care anymore. Craig laid out a clean proposal. Split the home equity, split the retirement based on the years we were married, no alimony. Straightforward. Simple. Everything laid out in black and white. Jenna's lawyer glanced at her, then at the papers, and without hesitation, Jenna agreed. No fight. No drama. Just like that. The look on her face, like she was just waiting for it to be over, was almost pathetic. We sold the house for $540,000, and the equity was split right down the middle. I gave her $90,000 from my 401k. She kept the investments and the bonuses from her work, whatever. It wasn't worth arguing over. I walked out of there with less, sure, but I was at peace. Before we left, Jenna caught my eye. She looked exhausted, almost defeated. She said she was sorry. I didn't say anything at first. I didn't want to say anything. She didn't deserve an emotional response. She didn't deserve any part of me anymore. I just nodded, said, "Okay," and walked out. The door clicked shut behind me, and that was it. It was over. Word got around fast that Jenna's job was on the rocks. I heard she'd dropped the ball on a major client project, the one that was supposed to solidify her place at the firm. Her promotion, it was under review. I heard she was on a performance plan now, basically the last step before they cut her loose. Karma, I guess. She'd always been so focused on climbing the ladder, making sure everyone saw her as this perfect picture of success. Now it was all crashing down. And then the guy she'd started dating after me, he dumped her. Didn't want any part of the mess she was dragging around. Word was he couldn't handle the constant drama. I didn't blame him. She was always trying to pull someone in, hoping they could fix what she'd broken. But it doesn't work like that. Last I heard, she was back living with her mom. No surprise there. She'd burned through whatever she had, and now she was right back where she started. Dependent on Charlene, the same person who had enabled her for years. I'm sure that wasn't a fun situation for either of them. Erica reached out to me a few weeks after the settlement. She wanted to apologize, said she didn't know the full story, didn't understand what had really happened. I didn't answer right away. I didn't owe her anything, but after a while, I replied with something simple, something to the point. It's done. It's over. No need for apologies. Jenna and Charlene were still fighting, of course. No surprise. Their relationship had always been tense, but now it was just a constant war. Every time I heard something about it, I felt a little more at peace with the decision I'd made. As for me, I kept my head down. I went to work. I healed. Slowly. I didn't care about their drama anymore. The only thing I cared about was moving forward, putting the pieces back together. There was no point in looking back. I had to focus on myself. I bought a condo. Small, but it was mine. No shared memories. Just bare walls and empty space to fill with what was my life now. It was a fresh start. I wasn't interested in holding on to things that didn't belong to me anymore, physically or emotionally. A few months in, I started seeing someone new. Anna. She's a nurse practitioner, divorced too. We clicked, but we're taking it slow. Neither of us is in any rush to relive the mess we both came from. It's different this time. Easier, almost. There's no pressure, no expectations. Just two people trying to figure out what comes next. I'm also in therapy. Not that I wanted to be at first, but it was clear I needed to process everything. The betrayal, the lies, the years of believing I knew who she was, only to find out I didn't. Some nights are still hard. I wake up, the weight of it all sitting heavy on my chest. Sometimes I feel like I'll never fully let go. But I'm getting better at it. Getting better at finding peace with it. I sold my old sports collectibles, the ones I had kept in boxes in the attic for years. Got a decent amount for them. Enough to pad my savings. Give myself a little cushion to keep moving forward without worrying about money for a while. I didn't need them anymore. They were just reminders of a different time. A time that wasn't mine anymore. And that's the thing. People keep saying I got revenge. That it was all about getting back at Jenna for what she did. But that's not it. What I did was protect myself. I didn't start this fight and I didn't want it to drag on. But I wasn't going to let her keep lying and manipulating me. Watching her carefully built life fall apart while I rebuilt mine, that part feels earned. is not about revenge. It's about the consequences of her choices and the reality of the path I chose to take. I'm not some hero, and I'm not looking for a medal. But I've got peace now. Real peace. And that's something I'll never regret. People ask me if I regret not talking to her first, before I filed. No, I don't. What would she have said? Another lie? Another spin about how everything was for my career, or how she was doing what was best for us? She made her decisions. She hid things for 8 months, lied every day. She chose that path and she stuck to it. If I hadn't come home early, she'd still be lying to me. Maybe for years. Maybe I'd still be here, thinking we were fine, oblivious to everything. But I wasn't going to keep living in that lie. I didn't ruin her life. I just stopped letting her lie to me. The rest fell apart on its own. She wanted the title, the lifestyle, and a clueless husband who never questioned anything. Now she's got none of it. And for the first time in a long time, I'm okay with that. Me? I've got peace. Real peace. It's not revenge. It's just the way things ended up when the truth finally came out. People can call it whatever they want, but the truth is, she made her bed. I just stopped lying next to her. And now I'm sleeping better than I ever did before.